कुमार स्वामी नायक गोंगो लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे.
Radio Fiji 2.
In the news tonight, we have enough doctors, says Health Minister. Preventing eye diseases in the north. And temporary classrooms go up.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Edwin Nunn.
Pulunaka, Fiji. There will not be a shortage of doctors following the suspension of scholarships and loans for MBBS and dentistry programs. Health Minister Dr. Ifiremi Wangainambete says the time is right to move state funding to other arms of medical field studies. Jeshula reports.
There are more doctors in Fiji today than there has ever been, following 6 years of funding by the Tertiary Scholarship and Loans Board.
We have reached a critical mass in terms of our doctors. We about 4 or 5 years ago, there was about 400 doctors in the service. As I speak now, there's now nearly 1,000, or maybe just over 1,000 doctors.
Dr. Wangainambete says with current levels of staffing, the ministry has enough trained and qualified doctors to meet the World Health Organization benchmark. He does, however, want to put more focus on training the pool of doctors.
Staff continues to support the postgraduate training for each doctors. So, we've gone really into a place where we've beginning to get the numbers of doctors. We want to be able to improve the quality of the doctors that we have.
While new applicants can't get TSLB funding for MBBS and dentistry, there are other medical programs still covered.
For the programs of public health, nursing, medical imaging, lab sciences, and physiotherapy and pharmacy. So at least there are still some programs that they can apply for.
There are currently 790 students on TSLB scholarship studying to become doctors and dentists. These students are expected to graduate and join the medical profession in 4 years. Jeshulal, FBC News.
Temporary learning facilities are being set up in various schools in the Northern Division, which were severely affected by Tropical Cyclone Yasa. School management are racing against time to ensure the learning facilities are up and ready before the start of school on January 18th. Eleanor Turangaivu reports.
Only 5 days remain until the start of the new school year, and Lekutu Secondary School staff and family continue to clean up the mess left behind by Tropical Cyclone Yasa.
None of the classrooms available. We only have special rooms, the computer lab, the science lab, plus the library, and of course our office.
Outside, RFMF personnel are setting up temporary classrooms that will cater for 2 streams each of years 9 to 12 and 1 stream of year 13.
We will have 9 for classrooms, and we'll have 10 for teachers, 10 tents for teachers. Occupation purposes.
This is one of the 9 tents erected as temporary classrooms for Lekutu Secondary School. When fitted with desks and chairs, these 72 meter squared rectangular tents will cater for around 20 students each.
I'm positive that the students will make their way on the 19th.
At Lomboi Sanatam Dharam Kalika Primary School, RFMF personnel are working to complete repairs to the damaged main school building.
We had a total of 6 classrooms and all have been damaged.
Temporary learning facilities will be set up should the repair works are not completed on time.
So the ministry has promised to give us the tents, and we are going to resume classes in the tent.
Along with the temporary school facilities, supplies like textbooks are also being delivered to the affected schools. Eleanor Turangaivu, FBC News.
Non-government organization Project Heaven Trust is working around the clock to ensure there are no outbreaks of eye diseases such as trachoma and conjunctivitis during this cyclone season. General Manager Dr. Kichone Rawalai says eye infections are prevalent after a tropical cyclone due to the environmental condition, inadequate water supply and poor sanitation. Details with Josiah Nanunga.
Trachoma and conjunctivitis emerge weeks after a disaster, so a team will visit Tisiasa-ravaged areas to conduct awareness as well as visual and hearing screenings.
When we are struck like disaster, when we are struck with pandemics and drought, we see that there is a rise, and then after our intervention, it sort of go down again.
Dr. Rawalai says following cyclones or flood in previous years, there have been increases in cases of trachoma and conjunctivitis. Health Minister Dr. Ephraim Wanganembete says his teams on the ground have not detected eye diseases but are exhausting every avenue possible to prevent any outbreaks.
The risk of communicable disease actually propagating very quickly is very high, and that's why we want to work very hard around protecting the health of our communities.
Project Heaven Trust says children in primary schools and women are prone to these eye diseases.
From 7 to 13, mostly they have follicles.
Project Heaven Trust is also emphasizing on the importance of parental engagement, the need for parents to closely monitor the well-being of their children, ensuring they thoroughly wash their eyes and face more often to reduce the risk of blindness. Jose Nunga, FBC News.
Different schools are requesting different numbers of exercise books for the new school year. FBC News was out and about in the capital city and discovered that parents are having to buy more books as compared to previous years. Apanisa Wangairandovo reports the Education Ministry says each school is responsible for its book list.
In an already tough financial environment, a mother who is sending 4 children to primary school says on average she is buying about 10 or more exercise books for each of her children.
I've noticed that there are more books on the list now compared to last year. Even one of my children who is attending year 8, I have to buy more than 10 exercise books.
Ravono says adding to the struggle is the price of some items which has increased.
Last year, I remember buying the 200 pages exercise book for $1.50. The same book I now purchase for $1.90, and that's just for the book. Other school staff have also changed in price, but not all.
Another parent says she is spending over $100 for each of her 3 children, and lucky they have saved up for it.
I have 3 children to send to school this year. Last year, my eldest was in year 6, and we bought 12 exercise books. Now that the same child is going to year 7, and we have to buy 16 exercise books altogether. That's quite a lot, but what can we do?
Head of the National Education Service Delivery, Timothy Mbure, says the book list is not the same for every school.
It will depend on the number of subjects the child is taking and the number of activities that the child will be taking in that particular subject. So there will be some subjects that will need a notebook and an exercise and an activity book.
Now, during my time in primary school, I had to buy around 6 books. But now with this latest list, it sure has become a struggle for some families. And they are pleading for the schools to keep that in mind. Apiniso Ngarandobu, FBC News.
COVID-19 payouts through the Fiji National Provident Fund stand at $189 million, inclusive of government top-up. Outgoing Chief Executive Chauchi Koroi says up to June 2020, when their last financial year ended, the fund was able to record a profit of $329 million. Koroi Tandulala reports the real effects of the coronavirus will be known when the next annual report comes out.
The fund says they are still processing some of the COVID-19 applications, with payments to be done in a timely manner.
As of today, the fund has paid out $109 million for all the assistance so far for COVID-19 assistance. We are running various phases, continuation of phases. Government top-up is about 80 million.
Chauchi Koroi says they are simultaneously processing applications for TC Yasa assistance as well.
We have received over 4,000 applications so far, and we have processed and paid about 1,300 today. We are planning to process the rest this week before it closes on the 16th.
We are grateful that those affected will be assisted.
FNPF assistance is good, but it should not be abused.
While the COVID-19 pandemic has devastated the local economy, the fund says it will continue to ensure solvency in the long run.
We're still not out of the woods yet, but we just want to assure the members that we're doing whatever within our powers to make sure that we continue to do the assistance and maintain that long-term solvency for FNPF in the long run.
As of December last year, more than 17,000 members have zero balance in their general account, exacerbated by the COVID-19 withdrawal. Corey Tandulala, FBC News.
Up ahead, more councillors to be trained. And defaulting ratepayers taken to court.
मैं दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Welcome back. Teachers appointed as child protection officers will be trained to become fully fledged counsellors. Minister Rosie Akbar says every school has a child protection officer, but they lack skills to guide students facing difficulties. Akbar says there is a gap in the education system as teachers are not able to provide psychosocial services. She adds training child protection officers as counsellors will strengthen the support system for students.
We do have child protection officers in all schools. Who are trained to look after the students, but they're not trained in psychosocial support services. So I'm happy that we have trained the first batch of counsellors for our school that were deployed in the divisions, and I'm sure this will help us in terms of assisting our students, especially during this time.
The Nasinu Town Council has put measures in place to recover dues owed for many years. Special Administrator Bhaskaran Nair says they are resorting to legal action, taking people to the Small Claims Tribunal and to court. So far, the council has filed around 169 cases in the Magistrates Court. Kritika Kumar reports.
The Nasinu Special Administrator says legal action is the last option for the council.
We would like to see our ratepayers come to us first. Instead of us going to legal measures, we would like them to come to us, talk to us, see if they can, develop some sort of a payment plan.
The council has divided its ratepayers into 4 different categories depending on the amount owed. Nair says through profiling, they have found businesses and property owners who can pay are instead trying to take advantage of the payment system.
Well, there are some business people who do own rates, and we are following that up with them. See, we have put in place measures to collect arrears.
Minister for Local Government Premila Kumar says this is unacceptable as these ratepayers have dues owing for years. Some who live abroad also owe money to the councils.
If it's a residential consumer who is affected by COVID-19, we understand. Right, but there are businesses who owe rates even when things were better in the country, and they have been owing rates for years, and of course the amount of rate owed has increased.
The Municipal Council have also implemented a payment system to recover rates. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Residents along the Nosori Highlands Road have praised the government after part of the road was finally tar-sealed. Work started in 2019 and has already benefited thousands of residents in the area. Details with Felipe Naikaso.
Never in their wildest dream did these residents think that at least part of the Nosori Highlands Road would be upgraded.
Yeah, the road condition was really bad. We used to get a lot of dust from over here, and it was also damaging the vehicles. Like a lot of potholes over here. Like whenever the rainy season, you can see all the potholes, and this new road, it's helped us in many ways.
With part of the Nosori Highlands Road now tar-sealed from the main junction up until the Mulumulo community post, thousands of Fijians staying in this area will no longer be subjected to breathing in dust from the gravel roads, as their homes were situated very close to the road.
Because before we used to have a lot of dust. We used to have a lot of health problems. Before we used to move our house 6 or 7 times a day. But after having the road tar-sealed, it made our work easier. Don't have to mop the house 6 or 7 times a day, only once in a day, that's it.
Families have lived there for generations, and for some, seeing the road tar-sealed after 3 decades is something they're still getting used to.
I have never thought this would happen, but I'm happy especially for the school kids who before had to endure the thick dust as they waited for their bus, or even while walking home.
Work is expected to continue further on as more settlements and villages are located along the Nusuri Highlands Road. Philip and Ikaso, FBC News.
In an effort to improve service delivery, Energy Fiji Limited has launched a new mobile app. Chief Executive Hasmukh Patel says high customer demand for easy access prompted them to develop the e-service. Kelly Vadala reports.
The new mobile app will enable Fijians to view their EFL account information, balances and due dates.
You could actually go into this app and then you should be able to download your bill. You should be able to print your bill. You exactly know how much money you owe EFL in terms of your electricity usage.
Patel says customers can also view the history of their electricity consumption and receive notifications if there are major power outages.
Also, we have what we call unplanned power outages. Now, sometimes, when we have unplanned power outages, there are customers who are not quite knowledgeable and they say, EFL put the power off without telling us. So it's not like that we put the power off without telling anyone. The power goes by itself. It goes off because there's some fault in the power system.
The app, which is an initiative between EFL and Telecommunications Fiji, also aims to help Fijians resolve issues.
The development was one phase, and then development, testing, and then fine-tuning. The full process was about 3 months.
The app is another step in the digital transformation journey for the Energy Fiji Limited to provide better service delivery to its customers. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Overseas congressional Democrats have begun a push to force U.S. President Donald Trump from office. They've introduced an article of impeachment that accuses him of inciting insurrection in connection with the violent attack on the Capitol last week. And time now for Business with Whitney.
Thanks, Edwin. Coming up in business tonight, acting CEO for FRCS. And in growing Fiji, work begins on market bylaws. Stay with us.
कुमार साहब ने नाइक है गोंगो लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन
Jonathan Vuto has been appointed the new interim Chief Executive Officer for the Fiji Revenue and Customs Service. Vuto, who holds the position of Director Border, has been with FRCS for 31 years, having worked in all divisions, including compliance, revenue, border and policy. The FRCA board says his familiarity with the tax office and breadth of experience will strengthen management and leadership of FRCS. Twitter is feeling the Trump effect. Shares of Twitter dropped after the company permanently suspended the account of President Donald Trump over the weekend. Sinifer joins us now with the latest from the money market.
Good evening. The Australian dollar retreated through trade yesterday, giving up almost 2% to slip below 77 US cents. Aussie suffered as traders looked to correct positions on widening US Treasury yields and expectations for increased fiscal support. With hopes for a rebound in U.S. economic activity on the back of a comprehensive immunization program and increased fiscal stimulus measures, there are signs the medium-term narrative is beginning to shift away from sustained U.S. dollar weakness. Meanwhile, British consumer spending fell in December at the fastest rate in 6 months, with pubs and restaurants especially hard hit by a resurgence of coronavirus cases. Consumer spending contracted 2.3% in year-on-year terms last month, the biggest drop since June, when most of the economy was still in lockdown. Crude oil prices fell, hit by renewed concerns about global fuel demand amid tough coronavirus lockdowns across the globe, as well as the stronger US dollar. That's all for now from HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Here are the local exchange rates as set early this morning. The Fiji dollar strengthened against our two major trading partners, the Aussie and Kiwi dollars, as well as the PNG Kina and the euro. It lost ground to the Chinese yuan, US greenback and the Japanese yen. The commodities market, did well today. Oil prices rose a few cents to just over $52 a barrel. Gold rose to $1,827 per ounce, and silver closed up at $25.02 an ounce. In an effort to ensure vendors comply with bylaws, the local government ministry will soon begin work on draft market regulations. Minister Pramila Kumar says due to COVID-19, consultations with market vendors were halted. She says the new regulation will address majority of issues faced by vendors.
Consultation work will start and we should be able to finalize the market regulation for implementation.
And that's it from Business Tonight. We now join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Naka and good evening. Ahead in sports, Tangi Wonolangi strikes deal with Lautoka. And Boxing Fiji program for kids. This and more coming up.
हमारे सामने नाइक है गोंगवा लिबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में
Newly appointed Lautoka football coach Tangi Wonolangi is beginning to settle in with his new team. The former national goalkeeper was mostly happy with what he saw at his first training session yesterday with the Blues, but points out fitness as an area of concern. Felipe Naikaso has more.
Straight into the thick of things, Tangi Wonolangi not wasting any time with only a few weeks remaining for their first game of the season.
As it is now, we have the current squad for the Lautoka team, a good set of players, and we hope to just improve and build up a good combination for this upcoming commitment for Fiji football calendar.
It's also a daunting task for the new Blues coach as the expectations for a good season is high after a lackluster 2020.
It's a big call, and for me and my coaching career also, so I hope to do well, improve the team and lift the Lautoka team to another level.
There's also big plans for the side as they want to win some silverware.
There's some negotiation going on, but I can't promise you as which player is going to come because the window transfer closes on the 31st of January.
The National Football League will be the first game for this season, which kicks off next month. Felipe Naikaso, FBC Sports.
Ray Krishna's ATK Mohan Bagan has moved down to second place on the Indian Super League points table. This after they suffered their second loss of the season, going down 1-0 to Mumbai City. Boxing Fiji strongly believes the future success of the sport in Fiji lies with our children. And for a sport that demands both mental and physical strength, getting athletes involved at an early age is crucial. Thus, Boxing Fiji is introducing a week-long kids program for those aged 8 to 18, teaching children the basics of the sport. Karlaini Tavi with the details.
One of the key aspects to excelling in boxing is commitment.
It's very important to start on the basics, the fundamentals. From there, then we build up. From there, then we go to the advanced area. Especially they would need it is for them to commit themselves, to be dedicated if they want to go to a higher level. So we'll be touching that on different areas of aspects of boxing.
Trainer Oceana Nobu says many boxers have fitness but are lacking the skills. This is partly because there are few skilled coaches in Fiji.
We need skills, because fitness, it's easy to touch upon the fitness, but we need skills. We need skilled coaches to come and train these guys in order to perfect the skills for them to compete on a higher level.
Boxing Fiji fully supports the notion of introducing a boxing program in the school curriculum.
I think it's going to be very important to include boxing in schools, because boxing is one of the pioneer sports in the Olympics, and it is very important for us to include it in the schools so that we can lay a nice platform for students. And we won't succeed unless we concentrate more on age group boxing.
More than 20 young boxers will be part of the week-long program held at the Commander Stanley Brown Gym in Walu Bay. Karleni Tavi, FBC Sports.
Fiji-born Virimi Vakatawa has again made the French squad for the upcoming Six Nations. Cricket Fiji has started hunting for talent with the 2021 season underway as of a few days ago. Despite the challenges brought on by the pandemic and tropical cyclone Yasa, players, coaches and officials are focused on getting the job done before a national squad is announced. Aquila Dama with the details.
It's been a slow start to the season for Cricket Fiji. However, they are hoping that it'll pick up this weekend at the Suva T20 competition.
It normally happens every year over Christmas and New Year, where a lot of our players go back to their islands. So they go, depending on the boat schedule, they come back a week late. Nothing to do with Yasa, except for the army team. It's their job.
The show must go on for Cricket Fiji, with the nationals just around the corner and the Easter Championships not far off.
Apart from that, we'll look into just put our heads down and get right through till March when we start our nationals.
A national men's squad will be announced in 2 months, and one of the players aiming for a spot is police captain Johnny Wesley.
And I'm captain for the police cricket team and for the entire Suva cricket team Suva. And I look forward for the Fiji national squad that was selected for this year.
The national team will be announced in March. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
National triple jump record holder Eugene Volmer has 2 ways of qualifying for the Tokyo Olympic Games. Through merit, the Olympic hopeful will need to jump a record distance of 17.14 meters, or he could also qualify by ranking in the top 30 in the world. Tale Materakula with the details.
The 32-year-old is focusing on improving his international ranking.
2 ways we can qualify. One is to stay up there in the rankings, and the other one is to try and hit the qualifying standard. Most likely we're going to try and go for trying to stay with a high ranking in the top 20 or the top 30. And for that to happen, we need to try and compete in a lot of area permit meets.
The 2019 Pacific Games gold medalist is determined to make it to the Olympic Games either this year or in the next 4 years.
That has always been the goal ever since I was little. I know people try and shoot for gold medals, but I've always wanted to compete at the Olympic Games. If I do qualify, you know that'll mean a lot. Even if I don't, there's always other chances I can go, and I'm not going to stop till I make it.
Athletics Fiji hopes borders will open soon to give Volmer and other Olympic hopefuls a chance to compete overseas.
So we're still hoping that the best from Fiji will be allowed to go. But our preparation is going to be hindered by the fact that there are no competition. You can only know where you stand when you know that there is competition. So for the time being, this is going to be what is happening, not only in Fiji, in the rest of the South Pacific countries.
If Volmer fails to qualify by merit, he will have a chance to vie for the quota spot allocated for Athletics Fiji. Tali Materakula, FBC Sports.
Korotongo boat rider surfer Keisha Wakeham dominated the Surfing Fiji Awards night, taking out top honors. The 2019 Queen of Cloudbreak racked up 8,200 points from a series of competitions last year, even outscoring her elder brother Kalani Wakeham. Felipe Naikaso has more.
Despite a few challenges faced in 2020 by Keisha Wakeham, this did not stop the 14-year-old from continuing to shine.
I think it's a huge thing for me, going against the boys and taking weeks to go through all the competition and just trying to keep consistent. It's really amazing just to win the whole event.
In her own grade, Keisha finished first with 5,900 points, and she mirrored this performance during last year's events to also take out the open category.
Well, my plans is just to like try and improve in all my surfings, get barrels, catch bigger waves, start popping ears and all, and yeah, just improve in my surfing, my training, at home, at school, and yeah, and I'll get through it, yeah.
The main aim for Surfing Fiji is the Olympic Games this year, and plans have been set aside for it.
We're working on building our strength inside our country and just strengthening all our surfers with regular competitions and training fitness tests every weekend.
They're also working on getting Fiji represented on the Surfing World Tour. Philip and Ikaso, FBC Sports.
Sport hasn't been spared by the impact of the U.S. political uproar. President Donald Trump has been handed a stinging rebuke by the world of professional golf when the PGA of America and RA both announced they would shun 2 courses owned by him in the wake of the storming of the U.S. Capitol. That's it from Sports Tonight. After the break, a report on the risks of working from home. Details coming up.
मैं टोटली दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
In the west, partly cloudy with afternoon or evening showers and isolated thunderstorms. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, it was a sunny morning, but afternoon showers were experienced today. And up north, thunderstorms are forecast for later this evening. At sea, northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, moderate seas. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 6:46 p.m. tomorrow, followed by low tide at 12:53 p.m. Sunrise is at 6:45. For tomorrow, cloudy with some showers and isolated afternoon thunderstorms. And looking ahead to Friday, some showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands. And in Fijian Pulse, we ask, should there be more professionalism in the Fiji police force?
From my point of view, police force should have more professionals, because while seeing police force now, it's not that professional like it used to be before in earlier.
Yes, because I think they should know how to deal with the public.
Yeah, I think we need more, because there's a lack of communication with public, with the police officers, new recruits. I think they don't know how to talk to public.
Yes, I think there should be more professionalism in the Fiji police force, and it can also improve the services.
And recapping our main stories, we have enough doctors, says Health Minister, preventing eye diseases in the north, and temporary classrooms go up. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question this week, we are asking, should loans and scholarships for medical studies be suspended this year? Visit our FBC News website to answer. And to our shot of the day, locals enjoying an island getaway at Nanuya in the Yasawas. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our various social media accounts, including Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. That's your news for this evening. I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe. Modemanta.
कुमार साहब ने नायक है गोंगवा लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।